Off to Never Neverland. Let's go. Onward to Victory, episode 13. My name's Colgin Hirschel. Alongside me is Rhiannon Boesl and Taylor Gautney. And we're back for another episode of Onward to Victory on this beautiful Monday afternoon, heading into the evening. How was y'all's weekend? The Super Bowl just wrapped up. Eagles destroyed Patrick Mahomes.
That was like the most unexpected game I think I've ever watched.
Go Eagles. I wanted the Chiefs to lose as a Broncos fan. I was really happy. I made a bet, but it didn't hit, so kind of happy and sad at the same time. But
I think we were all wrong. I'm pretty sure we all said Chiefs.
I think I said the Eagles. We'll have to go back and listen to the footage, but we're talking about ASU on this show. We're going to start things off with the men's tennis. I know, Taylor, you just grabbed a position at WCSN on the tennis coverage team. Congratulations on that.
Yeah,
but
Taylor.
take us through the team a little bit.
yeah, this men's tennis team coming into it have a lot of great recruits, great foreign players. They had 4 matches since our last show last week. They took on Pepperdine, NAU, DePaul, and Utah. And in that Pepperdine match, they got off to a really hot start. They won the doubles match with Tanner Povey and Daniel Phillips pairing up on court 2, and Bor Artnock and Batich Dimic winning on court 1. Those are kind of the 2 duos that we've seen throughout the season. So the way college tennis works is that you play doubles. If you win 2 out of 3, you get 1 point, and you want 4 points to win. So ASU was up 1-0, and then the singles really struggled, and Pepperdine won 4 matches in a row. So the way it works, you have 6 singles matches going on at one time, and if a team wins 4, you just end it without ending the other 2. And ASU could not make a comeback after those matches were done. Then the Sun Devils destroyed NAU and DePaul with all 3 doubles matches winning in a row. And then singles ended very early in the night. They won both matchups 4-0 and moved closer to the flawless record that they wanted, and then headed into Big 12 play.
Yeah, this is really a cool program, and especially with their doubles, we got Bor Artnock and Matic Dimic doing really well. They're doing 5-3 this year, and then you also have Tanner Povey and Daniel Phillips, incredible, undefeated so far, and ASU's ranked number 24, and it's still relatively early in the season, and they have some pretty cool games coming up, and it's just gonna be really exciting to see how these teams continue to match up well together.
Yeah, can't say that I'm the biggest tennis fan. I know my mom played a little bit for a long time in high school. I played when I was younger. Can't say I played very well, but just to see a team like this just be able to produce, I mean, it would be good for them to just keep putting up numbers like they did against DePaul and NAU. I know those are 2 teams that are not quite known for their tennis. I mean, DePaul, coming from Chicago, is not really a tennis weather climate school, so it should have been a game that they should win.
Chilly too.
Yeah, NAU's freezing up there in the mountains, but ASU should have beat them, and they did.
Yeah, and then that Utah match to start Big 12 play, they barely lost 4-3. They could only win 1 doubles match, and Coach Matt Hill, when I was there the other night, he was saying that doubles point is so important because it just gives you all the momentum, and it kind of takes the hope away from the other team. And Utah won that doubles match, and then Artnock, Matisse Bondas, and Nicola Signa all won for the second night in a row, but a little too late as they lost to Utah. And they have a really, really long break. They come back to 23rd against San Diego in Tempe. But, yeah, this men's tennis team is something to watch out for, one of those sports that's flying under the radar right now. It's really fun to go to. I recommend going out to some matches.
Does that long break kind of affect them in any crazy way? Does it affect how they play, getting into a flow? Because I know with other sports, you look at the hockey team, they play 2 games every weekend. It seems like, football's every weekend with a bye week in the middle. But
is huge.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because against NAU and DePaul, they played 2 matches in one day. And Coach Hill was saying how it's kind of a positive and negative because, the match started at 9 a.m. The guys were up early, and they've been working all day. But it also gets your body into the mindset of tennis. So against that San Diego team, it's going to be hard having that long of a break. I'm sure Coach Hill will have him ready for it. But yeah, they're going to be a little bit sluggish. They're probably going to come out a little slow with how young this team is, but if they can get that win, Big 12 play comes right after that into full effect. So that would be a huge momentum booster for this men's tennis team.
Yeah, in San Diego right now, they're standing 7-0, so hopefully ASU can keep this momentum, keep this drive as they head into that game.
It's also a little strange how they play one conference game against Utah, and then they just play a random opponent that's not in the Big 12, and then they just head right back into conference play. It's kind of weird scheduling like that.
Yeah, it's definitely strange because they also played in a tournament against Texas, Nebraska, and Kentucky, 3 very good tennis teams, and then kind of came back and played a little bit weaker opponents to try to get back on the road to success. But yeah, GCU and then Big 12 play about a month from now it starts.
So over the weekend we had the tennis team playing. We also had a little bit of action on the ice with the hockey team facing off against number 6 Denver, still staying at number 6, but ASU went 1-1, lost in overtime night 1 off of a beautiful shot by Aiden Thompson, completely different from the Aiden Thompson that you and me know, Taylor. But night 2 was probably one of the craziest games I have ever been able to witness. I was in the booth for that game calling it with my good buddy Dylan Pescator. He's an amazing broadcaster. Shout out Dylan. It was hectic. They went down 5-3 in the third period. They pulled their goalie, switched him out. It looked like all was lost. And then all of a sudden they rattle off 2 quick goals and win it in overtime. And thanks to the man, Bennett Schimek. He has been top-notch when it comes down to the clutch. Night 1 against Denver, he scored the goal with, I think it was 42 seconds left in regulation to tie it up, to send it to overtime. Unfortunately, they lost that one. But then night 2 on Saturday, Bennett Schimek buries a goal, which at first referees called no goal. They played for about a minute and a half, 2 minutes before a whistle blew, and then they went back and reviewed it, called it a goal, put the time back on the clock, and then in overtime, he scored the game-winning goal.
Yeah, and this is his second game-winning goal, and his last one was literally just last week against Miami, Ohio. So it's really cool to see how he's adjusted to coming in and kind of taking that lead. And as the season goes on, it just seems like this team continues to develop more strength and more drive, and it doesn't seem to be going anywhere, which is really great. And they took down number 6. This is huge. And although it wasn't 3 straight wins, it's still great that they didn't they weren't swept. They took this win, and then didn't they lose just in overtime?
Lost in overtime night 1.
So it's
won
really
in
cool
overtime
to see
night
how
2.
they
So
keep pushing through.
It's very close.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was great to see. It was really a great goal. He was racing down the middle of the ice, deep 2 defenders. I was actually listening to Colgin's broadcast. It was a great game-winning call. Let the play breathe a lot. I liked that. But, yeah, this Sun Devil team, you won 3 out of 4 against the reigning national champs. You got so much momentum going into the late half of the season. If you're an Arizona hockey fan, you lost the Coyotes, you're coming out to Sun Devil games, and you're having a bunch of fun.
And they honestly didn't even have as many at night 2 as night 1. I would say that night 1 was probably the more hyped up matchup just because it's Friday night hockey. There's not a whole lot going on Friday nights for athletics-wise at Arizona State right now with the football team being done, all these other teams wrapping up. But just seeing Arizona State, the past few weeks, they have showed so much perseverance. Going down 5-3 with 6 minutes left against Denver, they could have packed it in. They could have said, all right, not our night. We'll head on out. They didn't. They didn't do that. They kept going. They battled back, and they tied it and then won it in overtime. I mean, led by a guy who wasn't even on the team last year because he was transferred in.
This team, they had so many transfers, and they also have some young players, and just the way that they've come together this year is absolutely incredible, especially in their new conference against these high-ranking teams. It's incredible to see that chemistry. I was actually just talking about this with my mom, how important team chemistry is, and just how valuable it is to be able to work together and get those wins, especially as we were saying, like they have new players, so it's just phenomenal the way that they've adjusted.
Yeah, Bennett Schimek, 4-game point streak, 4 goals, 3 assists over that stretch. Arizona State hockey will face off against Minnesota Duluth in Duluth this coming weekend. But for now, we will take a break here on Onward to Victory, sticking with the theme of the weekend, All the Stars by Kendrick Lamar. Welcome back to Onward to Victory here on Blaze Radio. We're going to kick off this second half with a little bit of softball from the Kajikawa Classic recap.
Yeah, another great event that I got to go to this weekend. Lots of great stuff going on at Arizona State in the spring semester, and a lot of great teams were here: Maryland, Miami, Ohio, Utah, and Cal, just to name a few. But we're going to focus on ASU for this tournament. They finished 3-1 with their only loss coming at the hands of Miami in the second matchup of the tournament. A little bit of background about this Arizona State softball team, since we never really did a preview on them. They only returned 7 players and 1 infielder, Aiden Allen. This is a very inexperienced and young team with 8 freshmen, but those 8 freshmen, all 8 have already gotten reps in the first 4 games. In the transfer portal, they got 6 transfers from smaller programs and other prestigious programs. And Rhiannon, what happened in that first game against Maryland?
They actually took a big old W, 7-1. Thanks to Cambry Krager's very first spring ball game. She allowed 4 hits, 1 earned run, and 0 walks in her 60 pitches thrown. That is just so incredible. Like, can we just talk about that? Her first game, and just popping out like that. That's incredible with that. I feel like you get those jitters, but she just came in on fire, and yeah, she was highly sought after, and really great that ASU has been able, like we say every week, ASU is getting these incredible recruits, and yeah, it was great first game for Cambry.
Yeah, and throughout the entire weekend, all these players from every single team was waiting on a lot of in-between time between games. I know that there was games that started, I believe, at like 9 a.m., and they went all the way to like midnight, and they had to cancel games because it got too late, and just it was just, no, I wouldn't call it poor planning, but just so many games jam-packed into one weekend that they just didn't have time.
It's incredible, too, because I feel like baseball and softball, those are the types of games, like, they could go for so long. And just the way that these athletes continue, like, they just persevere. They have such great endurance, and they stay supporting each other. They stay hype, and they continue to give it their all.
Yeah, and shout out Tia Reed. Yesterday, our broadcast was supposed to start at 1:30, and it started at 2:45. But like
that's not even the worst one I heard. I heard that some were starting. That one was supposed to be at like 6:30. Didn't get started until like 9.
Yeah, and then ASU was supposed to play Minnesota, but it got canceled. But on Friday night, ASU beat Miami, Ohio, and the storyline for this game was insane because they were down 5-0 going into the bottom of the second, and then AJ Murphy had a solo bomb in the bottom of the second, and then a 3-run homer in the third, and then the Devils scored 10 runs in the bottom of the 5th. In softball, if you're up by 8 or more runs at the end of the 5th, that is a mercy rule. Then yesterday's game against the 21st ranked Cal Golden Bears was amazing. It was back and forth, and then freshman Lillian Holtje, in her first at-bat of the season, hit a no-doubter bomb in the bottom of the 6th to give the Devils the lead 6-4, and then Kenzie Brown, the senior, came into the game and shut down the explosive lineup of Cal.
Yeah, I know. They got their new hitting coach, Josh Bloomer, last year, and that's who Murphy is crediting her great power development to, and it's just really great to see this team and the connections that they have with one another and also with their coaches, and just the way that you can see that be applied to their gameplay.
Yeah, and AJ Murphy, one of those transfers from San Diego State. She didn't get to play a lot last season with the Aztecs, but she's been over here so far, and she's been an absolute weapon for this softball team.
Yeah, and they play some pretty highly ranked and highly notable schools coming up in the Littlewood Classic coming up later this week. North Dakota, who's more known for their hockey. They play Oregon, more known for their football, but Washington, kind of the same story. But they play a lot of well-known teams. A lot of teams like flock from East Coast up in the north to come down to Arizona to play because, I mean, It's beautiful out. It's 75 degrees right now in the
So
middle of February. I mean, my hometown's getting peppered with cold temperatures. I know it's been tough back there, but I mean, it's a great time for Arizona State. They always are hosting a lot of highly touted teams because they just want to come play at Arizona State because it's beautiful here.
Everyone wants to come to Arizona right now. It's wonderful. You know, just hosted the Open. Spring training's coming. It's going to be great time.
Yeah, we didn't even mention the Open. I know it's not really Arizona State, but
But
it's always crazy down here. I've talked to so many people who are at it. I know, Taylor, you went to it for a little bit, or the waste management, whatever, some of the stuff around the town. But it's one of those times of the year where Arizona is such a hotbed for just anybody. I mean, hopefully it's not going to be a hotbed for temperatures, and won't get into those 90s and 100s too soon. But it's a time of the year where people like to come to Arizona. They like to spend.
Let's hope that means that we bring the fan base up to their games, showing these girls some support as they're starting off the season great. So bring that same support that all the other sports seem to.
Yeah, and a little shout out to the Phoenix Open. Josele Ballester played from Arizona State men's golf, played in the tournament, trying to get his PGA Tour card. Shot a 4-over in the first two rounds. Didn't make the cut, unfortunately. But how about making your PGA event debut in the state and city that you play for your college team? It was just a great sight to see.
Good for him over there. We'll transition to Anthony Robles. So I know, Rhiannon, you are very excited to talk about, so tell us why.
I'm so excited. Anthony Robles is he has such an incredible story. So he's an Arizona native. He was born with just one leg, and he was a lightweight wrestler. He attended Mesa High School, came into ASU. He said, "My mom, however, always told me growing up that God made me this way for a reason, and she made me believe it." And it is so true. He came into ASU. He had 2 undefeated seasons in his high school, and then he came into ASU, and he just dominated. He had 3 All-American awards. He had a 36-0 senior season. He was the NCAA champion at 125 pounds, and it's just incredible, the things that he has accomplished, and it's just so inspiring and incredible that he was able to, stay through Arizona and bring just so much light. It's incredible.
Yeah, and it's also incredible what he's done after being such a top-tier wrestler. He's won 2 ESPYs for the Jimmy V Award for Perseverance and Best Male Athlete with a Disability. He's a motivational speaker. He's very strong in his faith. He wrote a book, Unstoppable, and they just made a movie about it as well, and he also works for ESPN. So it's great to see what he's doing for his community and how he's kind of used his disability as a kid to kind of spark another generation of wrestlers around the country.
Just another incredible athlete that has come out of Arizona State. I mean, we talked about Pat Tillman earlier in the year. Anthony here is just top-notch. I mean, just definition of perseverance, which ASU has preached pretty much their entire season for whatever sport they're talking about. But he's shown it to the nth degree. I mean, he's been throughout his entire life, since birth to now, he's had to persevere through everything.
Yeah, and he was a 3-time Pac-10 conference champion at 125 pounds, a 4-time Pac-10 conference finalist at 125 pounds. He finished his career ranked 8th in wins at Arizona State, and he set the ASU single-season records for bonus point victories. It's incredible what he's done, and his performance is just so inspiring. Sports are just such a beautiful gift, and to be able to show people and show kids, if this is for you, you can do it. It's incredible, and it's just so inspiring, and the way that he continues to use his story to reach people, and it's just really cool.
Yeah, and if you're a big movie fan, Unstoppable is the name of his movie. It's on Amazon Prime right now. Big actors and Jennifer Lopez, John Cheadle, just to name a few. Robles was one of the main factors in making that movie, and it portrays Arizona State a lot as well. Gives the Sun Devils great publicity, and yeah, it's insane what athletes, the amount of impact and what they do for their communities that they grew up in, and this guy is just a true Sun Devil through and through, and he's he's going to be a legend by the time that he's done.
Yeah, and he also returned after graduating ASU. He went to coach his high school, which I thought was just really sweet. I love hearing about that when athletes return to their hometown and, just bring light back to where they grew up and came from.
He also set a world record for most pull-ups in 1 minute in 2018.
That is incredible.
So as we wrap up with that fun fact, we'll see you next time on Onward to Victory. I'm Colgin Hirschel.
I'm Rhiannon Boesl.
And I'm Taylor Gautney.
Thank you very much for listening.